Welcome to the Owner Identity Podcast, where we empower men experiencing same-sex attraction to live a life of purpose and possibility through the power of Christ and for the glory of God. My name is Jason Meller. I am so glad you're here. Come on in, have a seat. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that's subtle, powerful, and something we've all wrestled with: where to draw the line between admiration, lust, and everything in between. Have you ever found yourself admiring someone, maybe their confidence, their energy, or their presence, and then, almost without realizing it, that admiration starts to shift? Maybe it becomes envy. Maybe it becomes lust. Maybe it becomes something you're not even sure how to name. That shift can feel confusing, even overwhelming. But it's also an opportunity to pause, reflect, and understand what's really going on beneath the surface. So today, we're going to unpack that. What causes that shift? How can we recognize it? And most importantly, how can we navigate it in a way that aligns with our values, our highest self, and God's vision for our lives? Let's dive in. A couple weeks ago, I was involved in a crucial conversation. And when it was my turn to speak, I had to express an opinion that was different than somebody else's. I was uncomfortable and scared. Afterwards, I sat on a cafe bench downtown and journaled about it. I was feeling vulnerable, but also proud of myself. As I was doing that, an attractive guy walked past. I noticed his confident walk. He had his head held high, and I really liked the way that his clothes looked and fit, and I was wondering where he got them. I was making up a whole story about him in an instant in my head. If you want to learn more about the stories we can make up about people, you can listen to an episode I recorded about 3 guys in an airport. Anyway, then I went back to my journaling, and I just had a sense inside myself that if I looked up at him again, it was not going to be from a place of admiration, but out of a place of insecurity and lust. I just could tell in my mind that if I looked for him again, that I would be looking for validation and for something from him that I really should only be getting from God. I could just sense that there would be a sexual kind of energy that would start in my body if I did that. And thankfully, I didn't. I just kept journaling. And I'm grateful for the awareness that I have in that and the people around me that I can process these things with. And it inspired this episode that I'm sharing with you today. So, as I've talked about before, attraction is not just one thing. It's a spectrum. I talked about admiration to this guy, curiosity about what his life was like and what clothes he was wearing. But then I talked about how it could have turned to lust if I entertained looking at him any longer. I want us to understand that when we know where we are on that spectrum of attraction in the moment, we can navigate it with greater intention. So here's how I think about it. Admiration is when we see someone and think, I like the way they carry themselves, I admire their confidence, their energy, their style. That admiration feels light, inspiring, and expansive, like it's pulling me forward toward growth. I think admiration is a gift. It's a way of seeing the beauty and goodness that God has placed in others. It's not just about noticing someone's confidence and energy. It's about recognizing the divine spark in them and letting that inspire us. When we admire someone, we're seeing a glimpse of the creativity and goodness God has placed in them. It's a reminder that we're all created in His image, each with unique gifts and strength. Curiosity, another type of attraction. Sometimes we're just curious about someone's life or choices. We may wonder, what's their story? How did they get to where they are? That kind of curiosity can lead to learning and connection. And then we can slide into comparison. That's what I could see myself doing, comparing my insecurity and vulnerability in that moment with the story I was telling myself about that man's confidence based on his appearance. Comparison is where things start to shift. Instead of feeling inspired, we start measuring ourselves against the other guy. We think, why don't I have that? What's wrong with me? And that feels in our body heavy, constricting, and self-critical. Then there's lust or envy. This is when someone stops being a source of inspiration and becomes an object. either of desire or resentment in the case of envy. Lust distorts our vision. It takes someone who's made in God's image and reduces them to an object of gratification. Here's what to notice. Each of these has a different feeling in your body and a different tone in your thoughts. Admiration feels open and energizing. Comparison feels tight and draining. Lust or envy often feels urgent, like it's pulling you out of yourself. So just right now, take a moment to reflect on this. Think about a recent moment when you felt drawn to a guy, whether it was admiration, curiosity, or something else. Ask yourself, what were the thoughts that were running through my mind? What did I feel in my body? Was it light, heavy, energized, tense? And how did those thoughts and feelings influence my actions? So, how do you know when admiration or curiosity starts to cross the line? What we want to notice is that shift often comes with a change in your intention. Admiration is about growth. It's expansive. But when it shifts to comparison or lust, it becomes about filling a gap or escaping discomfort. So ask yourself, am I looking at this person as a source of inspiration, or am I using them to escape my own discomfort? What am I hoping to get from this thought or feeling? Because again, the truth is, just like training a muscle, I want you to know that you can train your mind to respond differently over time. If your default response has become lust or comparison, that doesn't mean that you're stuck there. It just means that you need to start rewiring your thoughts and habits. Here's how you can begin. Mindfulness. Start by noticing your thoughts without judgment. When you feel yourself skipping straight to lust or comparison, pause and ask, what's really happening here? Mindfulness helps you create space between the thought and your reaction. Pray. Invite God into the process. Pray for the ability to see others through His eyes, not as objects, but as His creations. Ask for His help in rewiring your thoughts and intentions. Journaling. Write down your experiences. Reflect on what triggered the shift and how you can respond differently next time. Journaling helps you build self-awareness and track progress over time. Visualization. Use your imagination and visualize yourself admiring somebody without feeling insecure or overwhelmed. Picture yourself feeling grounded and confident in who you are, no matter who walks into the room. A visualization exercise like this is going to send a message to your mind and your body that it's possible and that it's important to you. And for some of you listening, man, you might feel like admiration isn't even on the table anymore. Maybe your body and mind have been conditioned over time to skip straight to lust. Or for others, it might be to skip straight to comparison. And if that's where you are, I want you to know this. You're not broken and you're not stuck. You can retrain your mind and body to respond differently. One way to do this is to practice empathy by imagining what their day might have been like or what challenges they could be facing. Another tool is to silently affirm their humanity by thinking, this is someone who is loved by God, just like me. You can also say, this man's strength, confidence, or another attribute reminds me of the same in myself, and then recall a specific moment when you lived out of that. These small shifts help you move from judgment or objectification to curiosity and connection. And anchor the process in grace. If you've struggled with this, know that God's grace is bigger than your mistakes or your sin. He's not looking at you with condemnation. He's inviting you to grow, to realign, and to see yourself and others through His eyes. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Moments of admiration, curiosity, or even lust aren't something to obsess over or sit in shame about. They're opportunities to learn about yourself, to grow, and to realign with God's vision for your life. When you notice these moments, don't judge yourself, please. Instead, I want you to get curious and ask yourself, man, what's this moment teaching me? Because the more self-aware you become, the more that you're going to be able to navigate these moments with grace and integrity. You'll step into more of the fullness that God intended for you, be of greater service to others, and live more fully alive. Guys, I want to thank you for being willing to learn and put in the work to grow by listening to this podcast. As you are practicing these principles, I would love to hear how it goes for you. You can email me at hello@jasonmeller.com and let me know. And finally, I want you to know that you aren't defined by how often you have looked at a man with comparison, envy, or lust. rather than admiration or gratitude. You are defined by the one who calls you his, and he is always looking upon you with love. You've got this because God's got you. I'll talk with you soon.